I've got beef with you, and it's chuck roast.
Ugh.
Ugh.
I hate you.
This is kind of a weird video because we just moved to a new place and then we got quarantined. So we're trying to figure out how we're going to make dinner every week and
not leave the house.
Yeah, we are people who grocery shop every day for like that day's meal. So this is something for us to figure out. We're deeply into stay-at-home mode at the moment. And also we got a bunch of new equipment that we have to figure out for the cameras. And also we have this new commercial stove to work with.
Beefy boy.
And so this has been a period of growth for us as people and as cooks and as lovers. And it's fine. We've been trying out this system that is like very simple. In the US especially, and I think probably most of the Western world, most meals are built around a protein. So what we've been doing is getting one like large enough piece of protein, usually about 3 pounds for a week for the two of us, and then building a meal around that. But we don't want to make bulk meals because those get really boring. We would much rather make something unique with it every night. So this time we got chuck roast. It's, I think we got 3.5 pounds. Yeah. This is about a ½ pound of chuck roast, and we're gonna turn it into beef stroganoff. And basically we wanna make something like unique with it every night. So we're trying to use up like almost all like preserved foods. So this one was actually inspired by some dried shiitake mushrooms. And then we've just got some noodles. These actually aren't even egg noodles. These are just like...
Fusilli.
Yeah, fusilli?
Fusilli.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. They're curly noodles.
Yeah, I mean, they look like the right kind of noodle for stroganoff. And then we're just gonna kind of wing the rest of it. I made some sour cream from heavy cream and a little bit of buttermilk, which the buttermilk kind of cultures the cream, and then you end up with sour cream that's so much better than store-bought. It's so good. Some dried thyme, some Worcestershire sauce, some garlic cloves.
Let's just make the food. How about? And we have beer, so let's start cooking, please.
All right,
cheers.
Sure. So we gotta hydrate the mushrooms. So you go do that, and then do you want to start? I guess I'll start the stock.
Sure. So I'll hydrate the mushrooms. And add a little bit of kosher salt and the water. And then we're just gonna let these hydrate for like 20 minutes.
I just need that stock to thaw. We only need about half of it. That's gonna be the base of our sauce later. I'll butcher up this meat. So we just want little, basically cubes. It's a little wet. We have this one problem where we can't get paper towels. So like, I would normally dry this meat off. I just can't right now.
Oh, beans.
What? You filled it a lot, huh?
I didn't get one.
Just drain some of the water off.
Oh no. Ow, ow, ow.
Yeah.
Ow, ow, ow.
Use a towel.
So you're supposed to submerge the mushrooms, but I missed one.
It's fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to absorb water anyway, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Can we talk about how like hydrating shiitake mushrooms is the worst smell in the world?
Yeah, it smells.
Because they taste great, but they
rank.
smell awful when they're hydrating.
Barf city.
Oh, you could also use like porcini or whatever other kind of dried mushroom. That'd be totally cool. I would normally use like maitake mushrooms or oyster mushrooms or something for this, but that's just kind of out of the question. You could maybe use canned mushrooms, I guess. I think the way like our parents grew up making it was with cream of mushroom soup, but I think that's trash.
I don't think my mom ever had actual mushrooms in her stroganoff. I think it was just
Cream of mushroom.
cream of mushroom soup and ground beef.
All right, I'm gonna start browning
But I
this
loved
off.
it. My favorite dish as a kid,
That's wild.
aside from like Swedish meatballs. I love stroganoff. Okay, so while he's doing God knows what, I'm going to be chopping up some garlic.
So since I can't dry this beef, I'm actually gonna toss it in flour first. That's gonna make it a little easier to brown. It'll give us some starch on the outside to caramelize. I also can't get my hair cut at the moment, which is driving me absolutely insane.
Hence the hoodie.
I just need to brown the meat. This is gonna need to sit for a little longer. Got a little bit of browning in some areas. Sour cream for me is like the bulk of the stroganoff flavor. It's like beef, mushrooms, sour cream. Those are like the mandatory components, I think.
And mustard.
Mustard, that's right. I didn't even get the mustard out. Okay, we're gonna use Dijon. Okay, so usually I would use like fresh thyme, maybe some like, I don't know, I kind of like tarragon in it, but dried thyme will work for now. Got our salt. What else? We need some noodles, right?
But if you don't have noodles, you can also use mashed potatoes.
Oh yeah, I mean any starch is gonna do.
As like, yeah. If you can't get your hands on these noodles.
These cheap noodles.
These cheap noodles.
I mean, the point is to not go out.
Right now.
The point is to not go out, right? So don't go out if you don't have to. If you have another starch available to you, to go for that. I mean, bread would work great too. Like
bread works awesome for this.
Sopping up mustard sauce with bread. Oh. Rice would be fine. Maybe not my favorite choice, but all right, that's getting pretty close. And then we're gonna saute off the onions and garlic, I think. Yeah. Ooh, let's not pour that off. Let's use the mushroom juice as part of it. That's got a lot of flavor in there.
Okay, yep. I'm into it.
Like throw some seed oil in.
Hot.
You okay? Okay, chicken stock's coming along now.
Okay, here we go. Some mushrooms.
Let's get some garlic in. Throw the mushrooms in on the other side. Hope for the best. Let's add some thyme in here. Get that nice and fragrant, and then we'll deglaze with our mushroom juice. And then some chicken stock. Oh, you could totally do this without chicken stock too, or without mushrooms too. If you don't like mushrooms.
Oh yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be stroganoff, but it'd still be really good.
And if you don't like beef or are not into beef, you can just leave that out and have mushrooms. And if you don't like beef or mushrooms, then
mushroom makes a really good stock too. Like my vegetable stock is shiitake based, so highly recommend.
If you don't like beef or mushrooms, maybe don't make this recipe.
Nah, dude, it's totally fine without both of them. Then you've just got pasta in a mustard sauce, which sounds delicious.
Or you have pasta and mustard sauce.
Totally use a vegetable stock or water or wine or whatever to make the stock. I would say that sour cream is pretty helpful, but if you wanted to use heavy cream, that would be fine too. I wouldn't use milk because it's just gonna be too watery. It's been 20 minutes. So the goal of this would be to get this on the table in under an hour, I think. We're kind of doing all this by the seat of our pants because I think if we were not to have interesting food to eat, we would get cabin fevery way faster. And we already can only tolerate so much of each other, so that's like, gets to be a problem.
Smells very mustardy.
What does mustard smell like to you?
It smells like the color yellow, I think.
What does it taste like?
The color yellow. All right, I think this is ready. I'm just gonna throw these in.
It's a rolling boil. Not all of it. All right. Never mind. It's gonna be a lot of noodles.
Hi, good girl.
Roxo, come on. Roxo, come here. Come on. There you go.
This
Roxy's
is my
film debut.
Dog. Meet Roxy. She's such a good girl. She's old. Yeah. Old lady. Old lady? Hi. Good to see you.
This is now cooking with Bryn only, and Sarah is now doing something else forever.
I gotta wash my hands because I pet the dog.
Now this is getting close to the end. We have a little Worcestershire in there. I find that the Worcestershire sauce can really intensify quickly when it's being reduced, so I don't want to put it in too early and reduce it too far. It tends to take over. We have parsley still.
Yeah, we have a ton of parsley.
Great. Because we could use some of that in this. This is gonna be a really rich dish. I think the parsley is a nice to have, not a must have for this dish. It's just gonna lighten it up slightly. I get pretty nervous about saying like herbs are necessary for a recipe or whatever, because I know a lot of people that just don't like certain herbs. Cilantro is the obvious one, but I've known people who didn't like parsley or green onions, kind of herbaceous. Can we talk about how aceous is the best suffix we've got?
Acious?
Aceous. Herbaceous, bodacious. They're spelled differently, but still good. All right. That was it. What time did we get? 8:20. A little under, but like
an hour.
pretty close.
Like 50 minutes.
I'm gonna herb blast you. Pah!
What? I want this one.
Okay, do it. It's yours. I'm gonna do a little salt here on top because I'm pretty sure it's lightly under seasoned now that the pasta's in there. Is this cilantro?
Yes, this is definitely cilantro in here instead of parsley.
Cool. All right. It's a look. It'll be fine.
How's it taste? Is it still good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unconventional pairing, but delicious. So how would you rate this compared to normal stroganoffs? How
Oh my
does
God.
quarantine stroganoff work for you?
You have to understand that my bar is very low for stroganoff in general, but
How are the mushrooms? That's our kind of like,
the mushrooms,
they're pretty mild. They're like not super flavorful.
yeah, not comparatively, but
Maybe a good like entry mushroom as long as you're not scared off by the rehydrating process,
yeah,
which smells just terrible.
but they taste really good in this. So I like that it's like creamy and tangy. I'm not getting a ton of the like mustard in this one, but it's there. There's the color yellow.
It tastes a little yellow. Get a little more salt in there.
I would happily make this
What's your review?
outside of quarantine dinners.
How many quarantines out of 5 quarantines would you give this?
Out of 5, 3.5 out of 5.
3.5 out of 5 quarantines.
Yeah. It's like good, but it doesn't blow my mind good.
Yeah.
You know, this is like comforty. Like, this makes me want to like cuddle up with a blanket and read a book.
So there's like a bar that, for me, I would say 3 is like the acceptable bar. I think that most scales are like anything below 3 is trash. Right?
Fair.
So I'm gonna say that this certainly passes that bar.
Yeah.
It tastes
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
As far as knowing what went into it and what came out of it, I'm pretty happy.
This is like a throwback to my childhood, so I'm very happy.
I might give it like a 4.5. Because it's not perfect, but it's pretty damn good for what went into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very damn good for what went into it. It tastes better than my childhood, but also has an essence of nostalgia in every bite.
All right, that's our tagline. Forkful of nostalgia in every bite. Well, even with the cilantro, pretty great.
It's fucking good.
I'm gonna turn the camera off now.
Bye.
It is currently 7:23. We need to make dinner. We're gonna go with this is a pound of chuck roast, and we're gonna turn it into something that is ropa vieja-like in
Yeah.
a pressure cooker. We have it like, I don't know, maybe a cup of beans.
Black beans.
Yep, black beans. These are my preferred thing with it, but usually take about 3 hours the way I make them. Ropa vieja also takes like 4 hours. I don't think I've ever made it in less than 3. So we're gonna try and make this in an hour with some limited ingredients. We still got some good spices for it. We've got sweet paprika, we've got cayenne pepper, cumin, and oregano. That'll do the trick, I think. And then we're gonna add our aromatics, add some body, braise away with some tomatoes. This is gonna be a pretty tomato heavy ropa vieja, but that's great because I actually like canned tomatoes quite a lot. A little bit of light beer. So this is a lager. Usually I would use white wine for this part, but I think that this will do just fine because I don't have white wine at this point. And then some Spanish olives and a little bit of distilled white vinegar. So I think this will get us close enough, and then we'll do our rice.
Oh God.
We store all of our rice in giant buckets because we actually buy in bulk, generally speaking. So we were kind of lucky there. We kind of already buy rice like preppers. But this is going to be basmati because I don't have I actually don't know what rice I would ideally use for this. Probably just some kind of long grain white rice. And I think this is going to be close enough.
Ready?
Yeah.
Let's make some food.
Down. I know that's like a no-go, I guess.
Yeah, you gotta drink it, man. You can't just it's bad luck.
All right, so this is a pretty fatty cut of the chuck roast. When I split up the chuck roast, I kind of set aside some of the more fatty parts for the parts that we were going to shred. I think that's gonna work the most nicely. I don't have to do very nice chunks here. We're gonna be kind of fine with whatever.
So we're doing more paprika. We're doing paprika heavy.
So paprika is pretty mild, so we're safer putting more of that in. Cumin's gonna be pretty overpowering, and cayenne that's really spicy cayenne, so you just gotta be careful with it.
You know I like spicy.
I know, and that's what I'm nervous about. This is good. I'm gonna chop some onions now.
I love the smell of cumin.
We want some kind of big pieces of meat because we want there to be enough content intact that it can be shreddy versus just being small cubes. So we need enough fiber that's continuous to be shreddy, but that's really about it. We do want as much surface area as possible because we're gonna brown it and get as much Maillard reaction going on as possible. That'll give us more flavor out of it. It's gonna take a minute. Okay, I think that's gonna about do it for that prep. We do need to rinse the beans. So I would normally do the beans separately, but since we only have an hour, they kind of gotta go in together. It takes me about 45 minutes to make a nice shredded pork for barbecue in this pressure cooker. So I'm assuming about the same timing for the beef. And it takes about 45 minutes to make pressure cooker beans, which are not my favorite kind of beans, but they're gonna be fine. So I think we're gonna end up right around the same time having both dishes cooked. We'll probably just want extra liquid for the beans to absorb because they're gonna grow pretty significantly. So I think we'll be pretty good with this amount of beans and beef. Nice. So these are actually kind of old beans, so I'm hoping they cook quickly. We've got our canned tomatoes. These are just San Marzanos. I would usually use something a little less over the top. San Marzano has such a brand around it these days, but these will do fine. I just couldn't find anything like the Mirror Blend ones that I usually like. And then with some olives for the end. We're just gonna chop these up. If you don't like olives, it's totally cool. You don't have to put it in. It's gonna be good anyway. I mean, if you don't put the beans or the olives in, it's basically chili, so it's gonna be an easy one. Olives will store for forever on your shelf, so that makes it super easy. Same thing with the canned tomatoes, obviously. Onions are very long-lived. Garlic's been a little tight for us lately. We haven't been able to find it consistently, and these bulbs are tiny. We've got some growing out on the porch, so hopefully that'll come through. It's been out there for a few months now at our old place and now at this place. I did last minute find out that we didn't have the bottle of distilled white vinegar that I thought we had. This is something I had set aside when I was making something else. I was working on a mustard recipe, and so I just happened to have it. But I was thinking about what I would do otherwise. I think my first choice of replacement, if I couldn't find white vinegar or didn't have it on hand, would be pickle juice. That's gonna be the closest in terms of acidity. I think in most cases, industrial pickle juice is pretty similar. I think it's usually white vinegar based. Apple cider vinegar would be probably number 2, but it's a little less acidic. Red wine vinegar is too acidic. White wine vinegar is not acidic enough. Sherry vinegar, also probably on the too acidic side. Rice wine vinegar, definitely not. I think that would be a tricky one. I think I'd probably use a blend of vinegars, or maybe just like go white wine vinegar and hope for the best, but I think white vinegar is pretty common. I think that's like the default vinegar for a lot of people, so I'm optimistic that it'll be on hand somewhere. Hopefully you'll have some, or you can easily get some when you go shopping. My goal is to make it so that you can shop once a month and get a bunch of different things and like have a variety over a long period of time, but we'll see what happens. Obviously that's dependent on each case. All right, that's about right to me. Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay.
You wanna pull that out? So this onion is only the other half of the onion from last night. And garlic, we've been kind of hard pressed to come by, so I'm like kind of holding back. I usually put a lot more garlic than this in, even for this small amount of meat. We usually make it in a huge batch and like have it for several days with some rice or whatever. It freezes really easily and reheats. So it's gonna be not quite what I would normally hope for. I thought about putting some garlic powder in, but that has its own flavor that's like not necessarily garlic. It's like something else. I guess it's just the dryness, but I don't love it. I don't love the taste of garlic powder.
It smells like earth.
Smells like earth?
Earthy. Very like earthy smelling.
All right, sure. I got a couple little pieces of pit in there when I was eating them.
Okay.
So just forewarning.
We'll be careful.
Beans.
Olive juice.
God, I love olives.
So good. Yep.
I don't want our garlic to get too brown. I don't want it to get bitter. I would normally, I think, go half a beer, but this will be all right. Add some sweetness.
Dump it all in.
God, this is gonna be borderline chili by the time we're done here.
I'm okay with it.
We're doing chili on Thursday.
I don't know what the problem is.
Oh shit, I should have put the spices in first.
How about we put the spices in now?
Womp,
Like,
womp. Well, we want it to be hot when they go in. Ideally, they'd be able to like get coated in fat. That's the thing that I fucked up. So what you really want is fat, then do the meat so you get the fond and more fat, and then the aromatics, which take a long time, and then these take like very short amount of time, but they kind of like get coated in the fat and they stick to everything and they get built in, and then deglaze.
Sure.
But I was being a fucking doofus and just forgot entirely.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Let's just dump them in now.
Yeah, go for it. Let's do half of that.
Okay.
Ah.
That's a little more than.
That's 4/5. All right, so now we've got a good amount of liquid and our meat. I'm gonna throw in the beans and get those simmering, and then we'll add the tomatoes.
Time check. 7:50.
750? Mm-hmm. All right, this is in now. These are just going in and we're pressure cooking. Okay, so now we've got that going up to full pressure, high pressure, whatever. Does it say? Yeah, pressure. Get that all the way up. And then we'll be back in 40 minutes, right around 8:30, the time it has to be done. We're gonna do rice the, what, categorically wrong way?
It's like in every way wrong.
But it's my favorite way to do it, which is don't really measure the rice that much. Don't really measure the water that much. Cook it with the lid off. So far, it's been working well.
Blasphemy is what people would call this.
What is this? It's a little extra water, but it'll be fine.
Never have I ever seen anyone make rice this way.
With consistently good results?
Yeah, but I've never heard anyone cook rice the way this dude cooks rice.
It's been good so far.
So you have to tell people how you cook it.
Well, one, I'm going to get it up to a boil. So cover's useful for that. But then the point is always be touching it.
Everybody tells you don't touch it.
Just understand where your rice is cooking wise the whole way and you're going to be totally fine, is the gist of it, right? Like anything else you're going to taste along the way. You're going to like check the texture. If you cook pasta, you're going to be checking the texture. It doesn't make sense to say this thing you can only do by timer and that's it. All right, this is it's looking pretty cooked now. So I'm gonna take the lid off and let it like release all the steam. So we don't want it to be too moist. That stirred over the edge, which is always fun. It's pretty fucking good, right? It's shreddable. See how these beans turned out. Beans are fantastic.
Is it spicy enough?
It's very spicy. Thank you. So it's not perfect. It's not super shreddable, unfortunately, but it is good. But with our time limits in place, it is what it is. We let it go an extra 10 minutes, but that's just as far as I want to go with it. So this is a 1 hour and 10 minute ropa vieja-ish, pseudo ropa vieja. I mean, it's not tear apart in the same way that ropa vieja should be. Ropa vieja means old clothes, and it references the like shreddy, like stringy nature of it. It's not quite that, but it is pretty good.
Earthy.
You keep saying earthy. I don't
Earthy.
understand that.
It's
Tastes
the
like dirt. These
It's
dirt.
the beans.
I think the beans turned out okay.
I think as far as like, I've never combined the beans with the meat before. And I think this experiment turned out pretty okay.
Yeah. I'm really happy with this, honestly. Like, if I didn't know this was another dish and I didn't have something to rate it against, this is a very good dish.
Dude, this is better.
It's still a rice bowl, which is kind of boring to me, but like,
What?
it's kind of played. Like,
I love rice bowls.
yeah. Anyway, it's fine. I think it's like a 4. I think it's very good. It hits like all the.
You
like,
gave this a 4 though.
It has acidity. It has the herbalness. It has the richness. It has like all those tomatoes, which I love tomatoes. It has spiciness, and it's just like
Tanginess.
It hits the notes I need to be happy with a dish, regardless of how like high quality it is. So it's not. I thought last night's dish was better. Maybe it's because I like pasta better
Really?
than rice. I don't know. I also haven't liked beans for very long, but I like these beans.
Oh. So yesterday was stroganoff. I rated stroganoff 3.5.
But you also said that it was the best stroganoff could be off camera.
It's the best stroganoff could. No, I said it on camera. It's the best stroganoff could be. I would rate this. It's spicy. It's tangy. I love rice. Honestly, I would rate this like a 4.5 out of 5 quarantine.
All right.
I think this has like everything I want in a dish. Like, it's meaty, but it's not all meat. Like, I hate going to steakhouses because it's just all meat and I can't do it. I can't. I can do like a little bit of meat, but it's gotta be mostly veg or mostly,
I would love to have more
Sorry.
vegetables in this.
yeah.
There's a lot of like tomatoes and there's a lot of
And this
onion,
hits
but
the
it kind of
spot. Like,
disappears.
oh, I love beans. This hits the damn spot. I feel good. I'm like warm inside.
Everything-
It's like that feeling when you get a like shot of whiskey, like you're just like warm in the middle. Anyway, this is Ropa Vieja quarantine edition.
Ropa Vieja-ish, let's
Ropa
say.
Vieja-ish
I don't want to offend any Cubans.
quarantine edition. I think we should be done.
Do you have the remote? You want the remote? Red button.
Bye.
So we're doing beef bourguignon-ish. So what we need are onions, carrot, potatoes. We could do mushrooms, but I don't think it's really worth it in this case. Beef, obviously. Wine is like, it's beef in a wine sauce. It has to be. This is Malbec. It's from Argentina, but I think Malbec came from Cahors, I think is how it's pronounced, which I believe is in Burgundy. I could be totally wrong there, but it's the wine we have, and that's what's important.
All right, let's do this.
We don't have pearl onions like you would normally use. We don't have a lot of the things you would normally put into beef bourguignon, but the goal is to mix up the flavors. Oh, beans, so close. I think I'm just gonna rough chop these onions.
That's not coming out, so.
I think with the carrots we want, I don't know, quarters, something like that.
Rustic cuts.
Nah, fuck that shit.
Ah, I love rustic cuts.
It's not that rangiri shit. We need it to be fairly small because we're going to be cooking it way faster than you normally would. This would normally be cooked in the oven, in like a Dutch oven, for, I don't know, a couple hours. Oh, we also don't have bacon. You'd normally use bacon or pancetta or something. But that's okay. We'll be fine. This is gonna be good. Again, the important part is mixing up the flavor profiles. That's what we're here for. I'm gonna save all the eyes off this potato to put in a bucket of dirt because I want to grow some potatoes from these, ideally. Because we don't know how long this thing's gonna go. The last curve I saw was like 12 months, so the more potatoes, the merrier. I mean, basically anything that's not going in the pot is gonna end up in a bin and see if we can get something growing. Do you know what time it is?
Oh, good call. I have no idea what time it is.
It is 8 o'clock.
So this should be done by 9 o'clock.
Yeah. We tend to eat later, so all of these we've shot way earlier than we usually eat. We tend to eat at like 10.
I approve of eating earlier, though.
I don't know. I just want to live that Spanish life, Sarah.
I do not. You sound like Jan from The Office right now.
You know,
Usually
Spain.
people in Spain, in Barcelona, don't even start cooking until 10 p.m.
Oh my gosh. There's Quote City over here.
That's all I am, Bryn.
Quote City.
You should know this.
So I want to stew the rest of the vegetables. Basically, I want to like cook them off a little bit, but like mostly just kind of stew them. I should start the potatoes. I'll just do them in this little guy.
Ooh, can I do the potatoes? I want to do the potatoes.
I'm gonna put some water in a pan.
Yeah.
All right. Are you sure you don't just want to mash them?
I want to do that too.
Okay. It's all you, champ.
All right, so we're going to bring the potatoes up to a boil.
Get all these fat pieces.
And then as
first.
soon as they start to get tender,
Pull them
we
out.
squish them. Do
Yeah,
we do the squish test?
we've got creme fraiche
And then we mash them
with creme fraiche.
with creme fraiche.
You want them to be creamy. So I think with this dish we'll have a chance to do a bourmani. I think I started to say that already.
Yeah.
Usually this sauce would thicken on its own, but with this quick cooking time, I think it's just not going to have an opportunity to either reduce or, well, I guess it's kind of going to be reduced or like a roux-y kind of situation. Bourmani will help us thicken that up really quick. I probably could have coated the beef in flour and that would have helped, but oh well. I'm just gonna throw the onions in on the side. Fucking easy mode.
It's the best mode.
It'll steam a little bit. It'll steam a little bit, but it will be fine. I think.
You need all of that butter? Oh wait, I'm mashing mine with
Crème fraîche. Ooh, here's a new sour cream that we're doing. This is made the exact same way as the crème fraîche, except for a longer period of time. This is just, I put it in, I don't know, 5 hours, 6 hours ago, 7 hours ago.
Yeah, around
And it's just heavy cream and some buttermilk, and it just sits out. This is a cheesecloth bag that I put over the top of it, and that's just gonna keep culturing until it's thick. And that should be in another hour or so. It's getting there. Super easy. Crème fraîche, sour cream, same deal. Super, super simple. Tastes so much better than normal. And also, it's really hard to get crème fraîche in bulk.
Yeah, it's true. You only find crème fraîche that's in like the little
dinky cans for like
tiny
$4.
jars, yeah. And it's so expensive.
Yeah. You can only ever find like 8 ounces at a time.
Or you can just make it.
Yeah.
And get a giant tub of it.
Mm-hmm. That probably costs about as much as one of those dinky cans. Not cans, but you know what I mean.
They're
Tubs?
little, like,
Tubs?
Yeah, they're little tubbies.
Get some pepper in here. Yeah, this is still a little ways to go.
Yeah, I could have told you that.
Sarah? You could have told me.
I did.
You all right?
God damn it.
It's all right, babe.
The potatoes got me.
Oh, Mordecai asked about cooking low carb. This is something I know almost nothing about because, to my knowledge, everything has carbs in it.
Well,
like onions.
because you only cook with carbs.
Well, let's talk about like milk, right? Still lactose, sugar, carb, right? And same thing. I'm not really sure what is low enough carb. Does that make sense?
Sure, it's just being mindful of how many carbs you're using in a dish. It's not like no carb, it's low carb. I think it is. Unless you're unless you're doing the Atkins diet and you're cooking purely with protein.
So don't beans have carbs though? Because I feel like beans would make a lot of sense in the Atkins diet. Wasn't the Atkins diet like a lot of beans?
There's like a lot of meat.
I mean, that's slow carb.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's slow carb.
Slow carb is good too. It's just like, I think what they're asking for is like something that's not pasta, rice, starchy.
Which any of these are good as stews, but they still have like onions, carrots, whatever, that all have sugars in them. So I'm just not sure I understand.
It's like you put eggs in it, like stuff with more protein and less like...
Less kind of empty carbs?
Less filler, yeah. Like you would classify rice as a filler, you would classify potatoes as like a filler. Mm-hmm. They're not really adding a lot to your diet.
But
you could replace a lot of these with like veggies. You could replace a lot of these with like broccoli as like a base for any of the sauces that you're putting over them. Broccoli is one of my favorite alternatives to carbs because it's super filling. And I think it goes great as like a source to mop up sauce. That's all there is really, is like how do I mop up sauce? That's my goal. Whatever I'm using, it's just gotta be a good sauce mop. So like...
It's just gotta be a good sauce mop.
Yeah.
The Sarah story.
So tofu, crumbled tofu, great sauce mop.
God, I love tofu.
What are my favorite veggie alternatives?
Sarah's top 5, count it down, let's go. Broccoli, you said.
Cauliflower, carrots, maybe not carrots.
What a bad substrate.
It's like shaved carrots.
They're so intense. Oh.
They're good.
They have such an intense flavor of their own.
I love carrots.
Brussels.
Tofu. Did I already say tofu? Brussels sprouts. Oh, fuck yeah, Brussels sprouts.
Fuck yeah, Brussels sprouts. What's 5? Get there.
Bell peppers. avocados.
Just to pour stuff on top of?
Mm-hmm. That's so hot, though.
Where are you going?
I was gonna go to the... Ready?
Oh boy.
Is that too much?
Not for me. I definitely need salt.
Oh, yeah.
Half hour in, we've already got mashed potatoes done. Fuck yeah, dude.
Yep.
So good.
So salty. Oh, a little maybe too much salt? I don't know.
That's great.
Do we need this still? Okay, you can't eat the potatoes the whole time, though.
You did. First thing you need to do is be true to yourself.
No.
I want to sweep the rim.
No, stop. Bryn.
Oh.
That's all you get. You don't get any more. Stop eating our fucking food before it's done.
It's done.
You just have to survive 19 minutes. You can do it.
But the potatoes are there.
You have restraint.
And they taste great. You did a fantastic job. They are a little salty, but they're so good.
I believe you can do this.
Okay, so bourmani, equal parts flour and fat. In this case, our fat is going to be butter. Which is what beurre means. I don't know what mani means. Folded, maybe? So that's about 2 tablespoons. Let's grab 2 tablespoons there. All right, so let's talk bourmani. We're gonna put this in saute mode and bring this stock, all the juices up to temp. We've got all of our solids separated out. They're very warm. We're gonna pull all of the bay leaves out. These are not as brown as I would generally like. If you had more time, I would say pan sear these for longer. That would be fantastic. It is fine, it tastes good. You can use more salt, but that's kind of par for the course. I don't want to pressure cook salt because any reduction you get, anything that's like forcing its way into the food, you're gonna end up with a really strong flavor. So I want to like have more control than that. So I'm gonna say it's gonna be very bland, but it is beef. It will be beef. We'll get this up to temp, and then I'm just gonna melt off this bourmani in there. So our goal here is to just build up a sauce. So we've got all this beef flavor, we've got our aromatic flavor, we've got herbs, we've got fat. We've got the wine. We really want to like make the most of that. So we're gonna turn it into a thick sauce, and that's gonna take a minute, but with our liaison, it should go a lot faster than reduction. So it's going to, the starches are going to absorb a lot of the liquid that's available and basically make the sauce thicker without requiring as much time. We'll also get more sauce out of it. It just makes the water content less available.
I like potatoes as much as the next person. Is it equal? You think that needs more?
Oh yeah. Now, this is distinctly not beef bourguignon, but fuck it isn't good.
Oh boy.
Carrots are too soft, like by a large margin.
Are they?
Pressure cooker carrots don't work well.
They are very mushy. Oh, so salty. Is that the potatoes?
I think it's the last bit of salt I added.
Okay. Out of 5 quarantines, first couple of bites, how would you rate this?
It's definitely got that like neutral sweet palate that you expect from bourguignon.
Yes.
It's like savory sweet.
Compared to the
I feel like I'm
last...
incentivized to like it, but I do like this. I think this is probably
Out of 5.
3.5.
3.5?
It's like in the same ballpark as stroganoff. Like it is. It does that thing. It's just it's not as good as normal bourguignon.
What would you change about this if you could do it again?
Less salt would be good. Maybe don't cook everything in the pressure cooker.
I think everything in the pressure cooker was maybe a mistake. I think we could have gotten away with cooking the meat in the pressure cooker and cooking the veggies on the stove with the potatoes.
I mean, separately, but yeah.
Yeah.
How would you rate it, Sarah?
Out of 5 quarantines, this is the 3rd meal we've made. This is by far the sweetest meal that we've had so far. For me, I think it's sweet and it's really salty. So for me, I think this falls more in the like, probably 3. Because 3.5 I had for the like stroke. And I think the stroganoff was actually better than this.
Sure.
So I would label this as like a 3.
I think I just oversalted it.
But I
think the
love
dish is good.
the potatoes. I love potatoes. I think
the beef is good. It's just that the carrots are too soft.
yes, I agree. I think and I don't taste the onions as much as I was hoping I would. I think they got lost in a lot of the other flavors, but
It's amazing this came out of those ingredients, is my viewpoint on it.
I think this is way better than I was expecting when we went into this. Going into this experiment in general, I wasn't sure how the meat and the veg were going to combine in the pressure cooker to begin with. So I think this was good. As far as like an outcome of like a quality meal, I think this met my expectation. I didn't exceed it, but this meets my expectation. I will happily eat this.
Same.
And Bryn will happily eat more of it, apparently.
I wish there were more potatoes.
Well,
It's really good though.
potatoes are awesome. This has been a PSA.
For what?
Potatoes being amazing. Cheers.
See you tomorrow.
Dinner number 4 of Beef Week,
Chili con carne.
and it's gonna be chili.
Yeah, this is going to be a vegetable-centric chili. We have half a pound of beef for this, but we're only making for 2 people. We're not like trying to cook it in bulk, so this should be easy. It's going to be tomatoey. We're going to use some canned chipotles to build some flavor.
Tomatoes.
We're going to keep the spice mix really simple, just some cumin, some oregano, and some arbol chilies. These are just dried chilies. If you don't have these, you can just use cayenne pepper. You can use crushed red pepper flakes. Those will work great as well. The point is just getting that kind of like smoky dried pepper flavor. And this is also going to contribute some smokiness. The chipotle sauce, they're fantastic.
And obviously onions and garlic and cornmeal as our thickener.
Deglaze with some beer. This will be easy. I'll do the spices, you
Into
do
it.
the meat.
Into it.
Great.
Let's go. Wait, cheers me. And we have highballs for our drink tonight.
Yoichi highball. My favorite kind. Also, they're really lazy. They don't have soda water. They just have. They do have soda water.
Yeah.
What do they have? No,
Seltzer.
soda stream. It's just soda stream.
Seltzer.
Yeah, whatever. There's no actual soda in it. That's what I was thinking. Is that right? Is that the difference? I'm not a cocktail
You're asking
expert.
somebody who has no idea, so.
I need the spice grinder.
Okay, so we are cutting our meat up into really, 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 really little chunks. Because we don't want the meat to be too overpowering. We just want it to be a supporting role in the chili dish.
Yeah, I think a lot of chili is very beef forward. That's just not going to be the case here because we just don't have enough of it.
Yeah.
But we want it to cook off really fast. And if it's small, hopefully we'll get some crispies going too, which would be great.
Crispities.
Some texture.
That looks little enough.
We have a very fancy spice grinder. You can also use a mortar and pestle or like a coffee grinder or something. I just wouldn't necessarily use one that you're gonna use for actual coffee because you don't want your coffee to taste like cumin.
What?
Sarah
Coffee
does.
tasting like cumin sounds awesome. Cumin.
I don't know who hurt you, but I would also normally toast these, but since we're in a hurry, I'm doing it the fast way.
What's the time? It is 6:27.
Starting early tonight. All right, so this is gonna follow the typical form factor. We're gonna brown the meat, take that out, aromatics, spices, deglaze, wet ingredients, pressurize, go, go, go.
You're gonna add the spices when?
I'm gonna add them when our aromatics are done, and we're gonna taste it and make sure it's like a good amount. 'Cause, yeah, we're gonna kind of play this one by ear. It's gonna be a tough one because we're gonna have so many variables in place, but it'll be fine. So we're gonna go whole onion this time. I consider onion to be pretty essential to chili. For me, it's like, if it's going to be chili, it has to have a bunch of onion. It has to have a bunch of tomato. It should be beef flavored. It should have cumin. That'll get me there. Like that is like baseline chili. Anything beyond that is like bonus points.
Beans.
No, fuck you.
I don't know why.
Pervert.
I don't know why you hate beans and chili so much. Beans and chili are the best thing ever.
One,
Black beans in chili?
black beans are pretty good. Kidney beans are trash. Kidney beans are a mistake.
I don't understand who hurt you, but someone
Kidney
did.
beans and chili are what
Someone
hurt me.
hurt you.
I know you come from a bean household, but I don't.
We love our beans.
So, I'm gonna do the world's simplest highball. I don't know if it's gonna make the video or not, but
Go for it.
This is my favorite. It has a little bit of pretty good whiskey, single malt Yoichi. It has
Twist of
a strip of lemon.
lemon.
I'm the worst cocktail mixer ever. So, just for what that is, what that's worth.
Nothing. It's not worth anything.
I'm gonna use my onion knife to cut this like a real monster. If you leave it to sit, it's gonna get crispy.
Ooh. Stop. Look at your fingers. Stop doing that. Ah. This is how you get cut. You don't want to go to the hospital right now.
I can't cut my fingers this way. It's the power of the claw, Sarah.
Says you until it happens.
Here.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, it's so crispy.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be really hard to break down. Pressure cooker.
Oh, we lost one.
Here, have some whiskey.
That's not mine. Oh,
It
it
is.
is.
Okay, so this is getting translucent. The garlic is just starting to turn, so it's gonna take us another couple minutes. Then we're gonna use our cumin. Cumin? When did I start saying cumin?
I don't know.
I feel like it's the correct way to say it.
Cumin. It's like potato.
All right, this oil's starting to dry up. All the onions and the spices have kind of absorbed it. So I'm gonna add back in our beef. Get the spices coating that. Collect all our juices. And then we're gonna go to our taco truck lager to deglaze.
Ooh, it
I
smells
don't think we need a ton of it. So that's gonna be a big sweet. It's gonna be a big sweetening agent. We don't want it to be super sweet, and we're not making a ton of chili, honestly. Normally I would do, I don't know, 3 or 4 onions and a lot more spices for sure. But this is supposed to be chili-ish.
And you got to get that pressure cooking soon because it's already 6:50.
What time do we start? 6:30?
6:30.
All right.
On the dot.
We'll be great. I don't think this is going to take a ton of time pressure cooking, honestly. Like the main thing we're trying to do is just soften the beef.
Well, soon you're only going to have 30 minutes to pressure cook, so.
So I think I'm going to go for a 20-minute pressure cook.
Ooh.
Break down the tomatoes, get everything combined, and then I'll thicken it with the cornmeal or masa. I don't think we have, well, we do have masa harina. I just don't think that most people do. So I think cornmeal is more likely. You could also make a cornstarch slurry as another thickener. Mm-hmm. I just think corn doesn't throw off the flavor of chili as much. It's like a very complementary flavor.
Oh, this is gonna be so spicy.
So this is chipotle peppers, water, tomatoes, sugar, vinegar, soybean oil, iodized salt, onion, paprika, garlic, and spices. Let's get our canned tomatoes in there. Those will break down real fast under pressure.
Under pressure.
That's everything, right? Yep.
Do you need to put the cornmeal in now?
Nope.
No. That's after.
Yep. So I'm gonna
That's
go 20 minutes. All right, so this is pretty well done actually, and it actually has a nice consistency.
I'm gonna get more.
It is
juice
better
in
than I
this.
expected, to be honest, in terms of consistency. So I'm going to taste and check the seasoning. Let's find some beef. Ooh, that's delicious.
Ooh.
That's very good chili.
Ooh.
For being so simple, oh my God. A little spicy. It's kind of in my throat right now. Oh my gosh, that spice blend gets you. I will progressively add cornmeal. I need it to be at a boil, so I'm going to turn it back on saute. Starch hydrates at a high temperature. I mean, you can hydrate it lower, but you know, it works better at a high temperature. So,
All right.
this is some beautiful chili.
Mm.
Sour cream in there. Add a little bit of lactic acid. Add a little bit of the little cilantro in there.
You know what this is missing?
What?
Beans. If we had some black beans in
How
this.
dare you?
Oh, so good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is chili as fuck.
That's good.
This is like bare minimum chili. Lowest common denominator chili. But it is also somehow the most chili.
It's so good. I wouldn't change a thing about this.
About the chili?
Yeah. I love this. I think the only thing I would add is beans. And
You wouldn't add
also
cheese?
Cheese? Maybe throw some tortillas in this.
Tortilla chips?
Yep.
All right.
I would say this is like 5 out of 5 quarantines for me. 5 out of 5.
I think I would give it 4.
Amazing. Amazing.
I don't think it's like perfect. I do think it's very good. Like, okay, yeah.
This
If
is my favorite dish so far that we've made.
Working on a quarantine scale,
Yeah.
this is as good as its non-quarantine self. So I would say yes, 5. Great.
5 out of 5.
This was my least,
Oh.
I was least excited for this dish. But yeah, it's very good.
Oh my God. I think this is a winner. This is my winner for the week so far. Is a chili.
Wait till tomorrow's Hayashi rice.
Well,
One
we
of
have
my favorite
more,
dishes.
But so far, this is my winner. We'll see how hayashi rice does.
A
but-
beef Japanese curry.
Oh, well, if it does better than the chili, I'll be surprised. So far, this is it for me. All right. I think we're done here.
Bye forever. All right. This is the dish I'm the most excited for. Hayashi rice is a Japanese take on a British hashed beef dish.
Okay.
I love Japanese food more than just about any other type of cuisine, so I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
I can tell.
Encouragement.
You're welcome.
So this is gonna be, I think, the only dish where we didn't use cubed beef. I'm basically gonna cut this like shabu shabu beef, like a very thin cross-cut beef, so that it's very tender and we end up cooking it super, super quick.
And while he's working on that, I'm going to be hydrating some more of our shiitake mushrooms.
So you can see here we've got the grain of the beef. It's going in this direction. I'm gonna cut across it because the shorter the fibers, the more tender the meat will be. Usually I would freeze this before trying to cut it. I'm gonna end up with some thicker slices just because it's not solid enough, but it's gonna be fine. The other way I've seen people make this was with cubed beef, and so somewhere in between is not gonna be the worst problem for us to have. So there are basically two ways that I've seen people make the sauce for this as well, which is maybe the most important part. One way is to do a classic demi-glace. Use beef stock, mix that with like some tomato paste. That would be okay. The other route would be to use tonkatsu sauce, which is this like really tangy condiment used for katsu, or like tonkatsu is pork, fried pork cutlets. And I think that that sauce is really fantastic. So I'm gonna kind of emulate that rather than try to go for a full demi-glace, because that's just, I don't think that's a reasonable expectation of people, is to go for a demi-glace in an hour. Usually there's mushrooms in it. We don't have a ton of mushrooms. My preferred mix is onion, carrot, and potato. So I'm gonna do basically all those things, and just like, there'll be some mushroom in there. It just isn't gonna be a primary factor, I guess.
Yeah, supporting role, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That's a lot of cloves.
Got a bunch of little cloves in one big clove.
So I'm gonna add a little bit of wine in here to marinate the beef while I do everything else. Just because the alcohol is going to slightly denature the protein, and we're gonna end up with something that is like slightly tenderer. We'll also just get some more of that absorption and get some acidity like cooked into the meat. We're also not gonna do this one in the pressure cooker, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
I don't love cooking in a pressure cooker because you can't really see how things are progressing. That kind of drives me nuts. So we're just gonna do this in the Dutch oven. I'm excited about that. Should we do rangiri? Rangiri, the rotating cuts? Might as well, I guess,
yeah.
huh? Get you your rustic cuts finally.
Yes. I've been waiting all week for some rustic cuts.
There's something aesthetically pleasing about rustic cuts, but I often find that they make cooking just like not easy to keep track of because you don't have consistency throughout. I think rangiri does a good job of solving for that by really generating the rusticness by just rotating. You're still cutting about the same size pieces. Oh, it's gonna get me. Sarah, I was watching a Bon Appetit video earlier, and they were talking about what their favorite kitchen tools were. I think they had a lot of cop-outs, and I want to know what yours is.
My favorite kitchen tool?
I've not prepped you for this question at all.
Small or big, does it matter?
Doesn't matter. Anything.
I kind of like my kettle.
Your kettle?
Yeah. Well, actually, you know what?
You do use that a lot.
Can I just go ahead and say my favorite tool are the Tupperware containers that we use?
The freeze rights?
Yeah.
These are really great. I'm trying to kind of wean off of plastic. So we got some glass ones, but anytime I need a few of them, this is still the go-to, and it freezes so well.
They're cheap. They freeze well. I can just repurpose them. I think it's between that and our tape. Like our tape, I use all
green
the time
tape?
too.
Yeah.
Really slick for just like labeling stuff on the fly.
Definitely
Especially me, because I always forget when I make things. So the ability to like just slap a label on it that says like
what it is and what the date is.
yeah, what date I put it in the fridge, then at least I know, like, cool, I probably have like 7 days from this date. So when I go back in the fridge, I'm not wondering, damn, when did I cut these carrots again?
Those two are pretty tightly intertwined.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's mine. What's yours?
I go back and forth. I think there's one that's very underrated, which is aprons. But I feel like that's not necessarily a tool.
I was gonna say aprons are probably my least favorite. I don't know.
I love aprons.
I think they just get in the way.
They're so useful. I've ruined so many shirts cooking.
True.
And I love having all my tools at hand and whatever. Like that's super, super nice in my opinion. The more tooly one, I think, would be quarter sheet pans. At least lately. I've always been like a half sheet pan person. Quarter sheet pans are so useful. Like using them to make small batches of anything, obviously, but also using them for tool rests, for mise, for whatever. Like mise en place is kind of a container heavy task unless you use a tray for it, which makes it really easy. Something got my allergies going.
It's the garlic.
The garlic?
Sure. I'm
allergic to garlic? I might as well just die now. Ooh, that's a little small. That's a little smaller potato than I wanted. It'll cook fast though. It'll cook consistently with the carrots at least.
Did we call time?
We didn't.
Ooh.
It's currently 8:25, so let's say we start at 8:15.
Okay. 8:15. Okay. Garlic is done. Ginger is grated.
Oh, thank you.
Let's check on these mushrooms.
Those can go in at kind of any point in the process, so.
Cool. Do I need the juices?
Yeah, let's do it. Might as well. Make the most of what we got. All right, I'm just now done with this, so I'm gonna start the stove. Get things moving. Get some high smoke point oil. I'm not planning to cook very high, but I do want something fairly neutral. We're gonna add some butter later that I'd rather be our main fat. So this is a roux thickened sauce. We're not gonna add a ton of liquid, but we're gonna want that like nice glossy texture that roux gives. We'll add a little bit of wine. We're gonna add a lot of tomato and salt and like sweeteners and tanginess. It's just gonna all come together in this nice glossy sauce that I'm very excited for. So this, we're actually not gonna try and brown too much. We kind of just wanna like soften it. Get it like not red anymore, but we're not gonna worry too much about browning because we're gonna be all right. We're going pretty high heat here, just trying to get things softened. I actually want a little bit of bite left in these things, and actually that the time is doing me a favor there. It's making it hard not to have that, but I think I will just basically cook down the onions a little bit and then start building our flavor base. I can get the carrots in here shortly as well. I'm gonna do the tomato paste first, actually. Always wanna cook off your tomato paste a little bit at least.
You don't like that metallic flavor?
No one does. Someone does, certainly, but not me, you know. You're right. So let's get, I think we'll go for the ketchup first. So this is a ketchup I made for another video that is my all-time favorite ketchup. This is a very ketchup intensive recipe actually. It's very important, almost fundamental. It is absolutely fundamental.
Tomato recipe? Because it's not just ketchup.
It's usually ketchup and tonkatsu or tomatoes and demi-glace. And since we're not doing a stock base, then it needs to be very like tangy. And tonkatsu also is very like ketchup-y in nature. So we're just using ketchup as our base, which makes sense. Like people have tons of ketchup, so often every house I've been to has 100,000% too much ketchup. Needs a little more sweetness and it needs a little more Worcestershire. I'm gonna give it about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. I've seen a lot of people use granulated sugar. I'm sure you could use that. I think brown sugar generally has just like a richer flavor. It doesn't have as much chemically, like, sugar tastes chemically processed to me.
You know that that's also processed sugar, right?
Oh, it is, but I think the molasses takes the edge off. Just kind of like cooking tomato paste kind of takes the edge off. I think the molasses keeps it from tasting quite that saccharine. It's still obviously very sweet, but it's a little different to me.
What time is it?
8:49. So we're gonna be right on time then, if it's done in 25 minutes.
Okay.
So give it 6 minutes before you start the rice, I guess?
Yeah.
You gonna rinse it first?
Yeah, I should probably rinse it, huh?
How are you gonna make this rice? What's the story? You're definitely gonna rinse it, yeah?
Yeah, I'm rinsing it.
Why are you rinsing it?
Because it's got way too much starch on it, and I want it to be separate individual pieces and not gummy.
Our lunch one was kind of gummy.
This will get
'cause
gummy
I was
if
being
you
lazy.
don't rinse it.
Yeah. You know what? If I really think about it, this dish is almost like deconstructed meatloaf.
What? Oh yeah, the ketchup.
Like the tomato base, the same kind of aromatics involved, the same flavors. That's interesting. Bourmani!
Wait, there's no. Oh, do we have any that's in that little cup?
Nope, I already used that.
It's trying to save us.
That's about 2 tablespoons. Work that into the butter. Just like we did for the bourguignon. Again, this is Hayashi beef-ish. So despite the fact that we're doing the process kind of in reverse, we'll still end up in the same place, roughly.
I'm wondering if this needs more water added to it, but
Yeah, it looks like it. Go for it. Not a ton, but a little bit. We're just waiting on the potatoes now, and they're super close. That's like a rice porridge, and it's a good rice porridge. It's just not rice. All right, we overcooked our rice a little bit this time, so it's a little mushy. It's a very starchy rice, and so that gelled with the water. So we ended up with something that's a little stickier than we might usually expect from sushi rice, like koshihikari. But it tastes fantastic. So not the texture we set out for, but still like a really great texture. So here we have our Hayashi rice with some very soft Hayashi rice. Shara, it is 9:29.
oh, we
15
didn't
minutes
make it.
off.
That was because of the rice, though. So turns out the rice, if you're doing Japanese rice, like koshihikari,
yeah.
you actually do need to soak the rice like 30 minutes before you're going to start cooking. So I think if we had just started soaking the rice earlier, we would have been fine. But
Sure.
we assumed that it was going to cook like a basmati. It does not. So if you're going to make this, number one recommendation is rinse and soak your rice right about the same time that you start. Because by the time you're done with your prep work and getting everything else into your pan or Dutch oven or whatever you're using, then your rice should be ready for actually cooking. But we did not do that. So our rice is a little porridgey, but
It tastes great. It works well for me. So while it's not like what we expected, I'm pretty happy with it regardless.
ooh, this is a sweet dish.
Yeah. Tangy, sweet, savory, a little spicy.
Out of 5 quarantines this week.
Right out of the gate, I gotta answer that.
Uh-huh.
You're not gonna analyze the dish at all beforehand? There are a lot of things about this dish that are very like homey to me. It's very like meatloafy in some ways. This does a lot of things for me, both as Bryn the adult and like Bryn the inner child. Like there's a lot of comfort food elements in here, things that I recognize from meatloaves I had as a kid. Like it hits a lot of familiar elements as well as adding some like improvements on that. Ingredients I wouldn't have had at the time, things that were like way more interesting to eat.
Yeah.
So if I'm going for my out of 5 quarantines, we gotta start changing up that scale. Out of 5 quarantines is not gonna work for me indefinitely.
Okay.
I made one joke and you just had to stick with it.
Well,
This is as good as the usual dish for me. So this is a 5.
ooh.
It's a very good dish. This is one of my favorites already, and this matches the normal version of it. It's a super fast dish to make relatively for how like rich it is, how flavorful. I'm a huge fan. I might add more like herbs and spices later.
Yeah.
But I think this is pretty great. Yeah. I think the ketchup actually solves a lot of those elements.
It does.
There's a lot of spices in there.
I taste a lot of ketchup-y flavors in this. Clove.
What do you think?
Well, aside from being incredibly disappointed about our rice not turning out, I feel like I can't get enough salt on this thing.
I feel like mine is very well seasoned, so
Really?
I'm very confused about that.
I think for me, I think this is better than the boof. I like this more than the boof.
Boof.
The boof. I think I like this slightly more than the stroganoff. But not better than the chili. I think the chili wins. The chili wins for me this week.
The chili was like full on chili.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah. I think I would.
That didn't
mark
taste like
this as
we
like a
cut
4.
corners.
I think I would mark this as a 4. I don't know. I'll eat this. If you put this in front of me and said, "This is your dinner," I would be like, "Great. Yes, please."
If I were to give you half a pound of beef, what would you do with it?
Make chili.
You'd make chili.
Yeah.
This is my go-to. I think that kind of answers the question better than anything. Is like at the end of the week, having eaten all these dishes, which one would you turn to? This is the one for me.
Not one for me, but if you want to make this for me, I'll eat it.
All right, so let's do our whole week ranking. What is your top to bottom, best to worst? And like how successful would you say this experiment was, the beef experiment?
Well, we got food out of it, so success.
Good start.
We got most of them within our time frame, with the exception of this. And I think we could fix it if we had started the rice earlier. And the boof was late, but not by much again. Boof is number 5. This is number 4.
No, just say it in order. Okay. Boof.
Okay. Boof.
Hayashi.
Hayashi. 4.
Strog.
Strog is 3.
Ropa.
Ropa 2. Chili number 1.
The chili did turn out way better than I expected it to, honestly. And I think that would have been totally fine even without the arboles. I think if we had just used like crushed red chilies or cayenne, it would have been just fine as well. That was great.
What about you? Line up from the week. What do we got?
Boof is number 5, but I think it was very good still. I just think I oversalted it. That was on me. Like I can still see what the dish was through the salt, but like
It
could have done
was too
better.
salty. Yeah.
I don't think that should affect your opinion of it. I think that was on me. I think that my next would be. I liked a lot of them.
I mean, yeah, I would eat all of these.
I think Ropa's my number 4, Chili's my number 3, Strog's my number 2, and then this is my number 1. I really like the stroganoff. I really like the chili. Like I liked all of them a lot,
Yeah.
and so that's a really hard like measurement. I'm not saying that like any of them were bad, because I really did like them, especially for like the way we took them, where it was like, we're kind of just riffing with things we know about these dishes and still making them come through with whatever we had on the shelf. We didn't go shopping for any of these ingredients after the fact, which was impressive.
We stayed home all week and just made what we had. So that, I think, is a win.
For all the misgivings I have about beef, this was a far more successful week than I expected. I don't know how you feel, but I feel like we got the variety in that we were looking for. I feel like we hit a huge number of flavor profiles, even with minor variations. Like the ropa vieja and the chili were, like, if you look at the ingredient list, not that far apart, but you still get vastly different flavor profiles.
Yep.
And I think that's really encouraging, like that you can still have variety in your cooking, even when you're on a very limited like ingredient list.
I'm just impressed that we got like 5 substantial meals out of 4.5 pounds of meat.
I think when we actually counted out, so we did have 4.5 when we started. I think we actually used 3.5 for these recipes. I could be slightly off on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I think we used a whole pound 2 nights and then a half pound 3 nights. So I think that's 3.5.
I think that's impressive.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting us to make it.
We stretched it a long way, and I don't think any of them were lacking for beef.
No.
I think this was a very successful experiment, even for one of my like least used meats. And I'm very proud of it, and I'm very excited, and I hope that this is helpful to you. And next week we're gonna do...
Let's do pork.
Pork it is. Bye.